In my opinion, Dr. Loomis is the most important protagonist in horror film history. He brought such a realism, loyalty, and perseverance to Halloween's story, and I believe his character had a lot to do with the film's success. I understand Donald Pleasence signing on for the film was the dealer maker for you to be involved. What was it like working with the film legend, and what was he like?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, if he wasn't in that film, because I already told my agent I didn't want to do the film, but when she told me that he signed on, and it took her twice to convince me that he signed the contract, that he was in, because he's a classical British actor, I was in, because he was a legend, and working with him was like, he was a nice guy, very pleasant, and all that, in a British way. Really dry sense of humor also, but once he wasn't unfriendly, but once he was done with his scenes, he would go back to his trailer. He kept to himself a lot. He was also on, I think, his fifth or sixth divorce, so I don't blame him.
What do you think made Halloween stand out from other horror films of that era to go on to spark the subgenre slasher?
A lot of things. One was the music, the subject matter of killing babysitters. If you watch the movie, which is a real subtle thing, if you watch the movie, it's in color, but it seems like it's in black and white. There was suggestive blood and gore, but the only time you ever saw blood was on Laurie Strode's right shoulder, like a trickle. The suspense of the movie is what did it. It's sort of like, Hitchcock's Psycho. It was like a perfect storm of what happened with that movie. I mean, John Carpenter did the music on Halloween, but in the beginning they had a guy that they hired and were paying to do the music. They ran out of money, so they couldn't pay him anymore, so consequently they had no music. John Carpenter was an amateur musician, and he came up with the music for Halloween on a keyboard. On a keyboard. The music for Halloween on a keyboard. Yeah. It was, like I said, it's a perfect storm where, the suspense, using a normal guy, normal height like me, the subject matter of babysitters getting killed, a psycho ward that he was in for 15 years. I mean, you can't pinpoint one thing about the success. It all came together like, a perfect storm, yeah. Right. It's just weird.
Awesome.
Just awesome, yeah.
When the filming of Halloween was done, did you have low expectations for success, or did part of you see the potential in the low?
No, I had the lowest expectations possible.
Right.
It was a $350,000 movie that was called Halloween, which was the corniest thing I ever heard.
Right.
And they had a mask in the movie, which never had been done before. And I thought maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks max in a drive-in.
Right.
Because it was so stupid.
Right. What was your reaction when it started to take off in the box office?
Well, it took me about 5 or 6 months to see the movie. I never saw the movie. And once it was in the theaters for 5 or 6 months, I turned to my girlfriend and I said, "Hey, you want to see this?" She said, "Yeah, okay," And then, so we went and saw it, and halfway through I turned to her and I said, "This movie's pretty good," I just couldn't believe how, there's a huge difference between how a movie is filmed,
Right.
Day in and day out, hour by hour or whatever, and what a finished product is.
Sure.
And I was shocked. I mean, I still didn't think it was going to be big. I thought, oh, it's pretty good. It's good. It's a good movie. It's really good. It's really good. But all the sequels that came afterwards, I was like, what? You know?
Right.
So,
Actually, that'll bring me to one of my other questions. Did you continue to follow Halloween as the sequels came out throughout the 80s and 90s?
no.
Okay.
That's just a no.
How about,
I saw Halloween 1 and 2,
right,
and that because that's the only ones I was involved with.
right,
And then after that, I was like, you know, because I wasn't involved, I didn't really care.
right.
I mean, not that I don't care about stuff, but I just wasn't involved. But I kept seeing these sequels come out, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what in the world is going on with
Right.
this? You know?
Right. So you haven't checked out any of the Rob Zombie interpretations?
No, I won't see that. I won't watch it. I refuse to watch it.
Yeah. I don't.
I'm a fan of I'm a fan of his,
I'm a fan of his original stuff. No.
and I'm a fan of his music.
Right. Me too.
But I won't see a remake of what I did. It's like somebody
wholeheartedly.
stabbing me in the heart.
Right. Well, it's good to hear you say that because I have the same opinion.
Thank you.
What sort of motivation did you use during playing Michael Myers to appear more sinister or menacing as you were?
You know, half dead, half alive. You know, otherworldly. Once I put the mask on, you know, I was in a whole different world.
Right. I know how intensely huge the cult following is for Halloween. I'm the James Jones of the group. What's some of the weirdest comments, fan mail that you have received from the rabid fan base? Any kinky letters from some female fans?
Yeah. Shit. Yeah.
Any that stand out?
I get a few of those. You know.
Any that stood out from the rest?
Not really. I mean, you know, there's only really like two groups. You know,
Right.
one wants to know if I'd wear the mask, and the other one wants to know what it feels like to kill somebody.
Right.
So it's kind of diverse. You know.
In your opinion, besides Halloween, what are some of the most important horror films that you think have ever been made to help the genre and some of your personal favorites?
Well, Psycho started it all off by
Sure.
Hitchcock. That was that. Once he did that, it was the first movie ever that absolutely, completely terrified people. And that was way, way back. And Anthony Perkins, the job he did in that movie was just, you know, incredibly brilliant. Yeah, that was a perfect storm also. Exorcist, major thing. You know, when people ask me my favorite movies, I go, well, you know, Psycho's 1, and then tied for 2 is Exorcist and The Shining.
Sure.
The Shining's completely different because it's a psycho thing where
Right.
psychodrama where this guy doesn't know he's going crazy, and that can happen to anybody. I mean, you watch the movie and you go, oh yeah, he's going crazy, blah blah blah, you know. But it can happen to you where you think you see reality, but maybe it's not really. You know what I mean? But you'll never know it, and that's scary to me. That's pretty frightening to me.
Well, Tony, I must say the movie Halloween is by far my favorite film of all time, and it has played such an integral part of my life, made me the huge horror buff that I am today. Just meeting you would have been a dream to come true, never mind having the opportunity to sit down for an interview. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You didn't even have to read that. That's how you feel.
It sure is.
You know?
It sure is.